Welcome to the Lightworker Podcast. I am your host, Natalie Ubl Grant. I am a lightworker, a meditation facilitator, Reiki master, and a health and wellness enthusiast who thrives on helping people. Connection is my superpower, and I just love bringing people to a space where transformation can occur. Are you looking for information on being a lightworker? Are you a lightworker and just love collecting knowledge from other lightworkers? Then this space is made especially for you. I hope you enjoy today's episode.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Nat.
I'm actually so excited that you are here, and thank you for coming. Like I said earlier, it's kind of a selfish thing getting the people that I find inspiring to come and have a chat with me on the couch, just to share a little bit more about you and to the world. And I know that you do that anyway with all the work that you do, but it's nice to sometimes sit down and see, you know, just a little bit of a deeper you, and where my usual question is where it all began.
Yeah.
Like, you know, your story of awakening, if you will.
Sure.
Because it can be really interesting to help people who are on that journey of awakening to kind of come and listen to how other people managed the shit show that is the awakening process a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because it isn't all sunshine and roses. It is a journey, and it's not really ever a destination.
No. Know that one well.
And we're all still growing and getting better every day. And so, you are somebody in our community here on the Sunshine Coast that provides beautiful women's circles and groups, and you co-facilitate with people now, and you do a lot to support the collective. You've got your online things as well. So we just want to know what Kate's up to, but I would like very much if you could share, you know, what got you on this spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And what would you like to share about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that when we reflect on our spiritual journey in hindsight, we can see all of these little pieces that were pointing to it before it really happened. And so I can reflect back on aspects of my childhood.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to perceive energy and not having an understanding or a framework for what that meant. And
so what was that like when you were a little kid? Give us an age and what was going on.
Well, it was just being like very clairsentient, so a lot of feeling, and claircognizance, so a lot of knowing, but still to this day I'm not very clairvoyant. So I could perceive things but couldn't see anything with my physical eye. So I grew up very afraid of things at night, and like, in all honesty, the one thing that I was the most afraid of was aliens.
Yeah, right.
And my parents, which in my teenage years, would laugh, and they would say, you know, why? Okay, my dad would go, okay, if aliens really exist, why would they come to Brisbane and like come to your backyard in the middle of the night? And my mum would be like, don't you think it's all rational to be afraid of like murderers and thieves? But I was afraid of ghosts, and I was afraid of aliens.
Yeah.
And
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And I didn't really have an understanding, but I kind of blocked it out in my late teens. And then when I was about 26, I had my spiritual awakening. And this was, I went to Nepal and I was trekking, did a 22-day trek all the way to Everest Base Camp and back. And this spiritual awakening for me was very much more around culture.
Yeah, okay.
And spirituality as a culture and as nature. And so for me, the connection to the mountains were really strong at that point, but it was the catalyst for a lot of change. And I came back home, and I was married at the time. I had my daughter at that point. But I just decided that I was going to start learning more about psychic abilities. So I mentored with a professional psychic for about 8 years, and didn't tell anyone.
Yeah, wow. So you
Because-
kept that under wrap. 8
Oh,
years with
yeah.
one teacher.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I was living in Melbourne at the time.
Yeah.
And it just felt too woo-woo. I was working in corporate.
Well, it was woo-woo probably back then.
Yeah.
You know, and in Melbourne especially,
Exactly.
it would have been your persecution wound would have well and truly been triggered.
That's it. And I was lucky in the sense that I did have this wonderful, wonderful teacher who in the mentoring and the growth, she was very much about empowering me. So when I would book for a psychic reading with her, she wouldn't just give me the answers.
Yeah.
She'd give me the prompts so that I could do this. And she would say, you can do this too. And I would say, no, that's why I'm paying you. You tell me how it is. But it was this process of empowerment.
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
in that, trusting my abilities and trusting not only perceiving energy in the sense of, like beings around me, but more so in interpreting timelines and understanding the bigger picture of energetic environment, what was coming, and my ability to feel into the future and be able to just grasp some kind of change that was like very hard for me to articulate or understand. But for me, it's always just arrived in cryptic visuals, like clairvoyant prompts that it's seen within the mind's eye, and feelings and sensations. And so it was 2019 when I was in Melbourne, and my then husband and my daughter had flown back to Brisbane to see family. I thought, I'm going to practice some spiritual work. And I tuned in and just had this overwhelming sense of urgency that I needed to get out of Melbourne, and we just needed to pack everything up and leave. And by then, I'd been mentoring probably for about 7 or 8 years. Yeah, 7 years. And so, I knew how to interpret and how to take action and how to feel into that. And so,
you knew to trust it. You knew that prompt was saying, this is something I have to do, and if I ignore it, I will regret it later.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that it was coming from a place of doom. It just felt like there was something exciting ahead of me.
Yeah.
So the way that my logical mind was trying to make sense of it was, I was going to have another baby and that I needed to be back in Brisbane closer to family. And I asked for confirmation, and that confirmation was my then husband coming back, and he just went, well, I don't know why, but I think we need to move back to Brisbane. And I was like, okay. And
there it is.
We need to move fast.
Yeah.
And we sold our house in Melbourne the last weekend before COVID hit. So of course, as soon as back here in Brisbane and COVID unfolded, it was like, the feelings that I could feel, the urgency, and
all made sense.
It made sense.
So it's that, like you started saying at the start, it's like that retrospective learning.
Yeah.
Especially with the psychic stuff, is you don't really realize at the time that you are being given signs and symbols.
Yeah.
And that the proof comes later.
Exactly. And so that ability to perceive is, the ability of being a seer and not being able to have the full picture, but to know enough of what you're feeling to be able to guide decision making. And that level of trust, you don't just accumulate overnight. You really have to start with small things where there isn't a dire consequence of making a mistake.
Yeah.
And so the more that has been built up, then you're able to go, okay, I've got to make this change. And so the same thing happened when it was time to leave that marriage and move into divorce. Again, it was a major decision, and it wasn't one, to be honest, that I'd mentally processed until the time was right. And so after finishing the psychic work, I studied with you.
You did.
Went into Reiki and energy healing. And then sort of my next step along my path was that I had this calling to learn more about shamanism. And so it was receiving my very first shamanic initiation and the clarity that came through that said, or made me feel, in order for me to grow into who I'm here to be, I have to leave an environment that keeps me playing small. And that was the marriage. And then trying to articulate that to my ex-husband as to why I feel the calling to end a perfectly good perfectly good marriage. It wasn't perfect, but again, it didn't have the rational thinking wasn't there to be able to justify it. Yet all of the way that I was feeling and interpreting energy was that this was the next step on the path. And so it's continued to guide me at the right times to take action. And usually it is coming through as a premonition. So I'm lucky that I've been ahead of the curveball most of the time. But yeah, learning more about the shamanic practices as my personal spiritual philosophy has really brought a greater sense of the work that I'm here to share on the earth.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in the sense that everyone needs to learn to be a shaman
No.
or that those philosophies are for everyone, but
they hit you.
Yeah, they form my
so
devotional
what was that
practice.
like? When you had that first initiation, what was that like? Can you share how you knew that, oh my gosh, this is the thing?
It was, well, I think it was the initial call to the shamanic work was that because of the energy work, because of the psychic work, because of the new age philosophies, I was very ungrounded. I would much rather have my energy up and out of my body and go off. And I had a resistance to being here on earth. And so the initial logical meaning of following that little yearning was, oh yeah, I need to learn how to become more grounded. But
because like, I suppose, and you can clarify, the logic around learning shamanism is because that is the energy of the earth, Pachamama, that you're working with. So you can see that you're up in the astral the whole time talking to ghosts and aliens and all the rest of it, and you actually need to remember you're in a body here on earth.
Yes.
And you need to actually figure out what it is that grounds you here in this beautiful body.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
But
cool.
the most interesting thing about it, so then I went on to, so I've studied under two lineages in Peru. One's a very traditional lineage where the teachings have just been carried down generation upon generation, and they've been slightly hidden since the Spanish Inquisition. They're coming more to the light. And the other tradition or lineage that I've worked under is much more forward thinking. And so what I thought was just the bottom half to what I already knew in the top half, it's actually a complete package. So they call it the Andean cosmology, because everything that they have created in existence on Earth is a reflection of the stars. So they're portals. When you go to these sacred sites, are interdimensional portals. And so you're learning I'm learning what I knew to be true from all of the other teachings, but I'm learning it. It's embodied, and I'm learning it in the way that the ancients learned.
Yeah.
There was one particular temple I visited last year in Bolivia, and it's the temple of carved faces, and there's faces of clearly Asians and around the world. It's like, how do they even know these types of humans? And the belief was that they were using these interdimensional portals to access different locations on the earth. And there are carvings of clearly alien faces. And so their philosophy is that they were able to work with their body not only in physical form, but in energetic form. And so their ability to travel astrally is embedded in their culture.
Yeah.
And so for me, that the homecoming was not only in the presence and the groundedness and the connection to Earth, but also that it was bigger than Earth.
Yeah.
And that, it just, for me, it like ticked all the boxes, but it brings for me a sense of completion and wholeness into what feels right for me. And then every time I've expanded beyond a horizon of my own, there's been a teaching or an understanding or a development that has existed in these very ancient times, where it's a remembering. It's already here, and it's encoded in the earth. And so you go to these sacred sites, and the activation of the rememberings come through. So it's for me, it's been very powerful. But it's also been just, it gives me so much peace to walk on this earth. You know, the philosophy is that it's an animistic philosophy, which means that they see life force and spirit in every piece of the earth, every rock, every leaf, every stick. And so there's an honoring of that life force that is almost like personified. So when we learn, or I learn through them how to connect to the mountains, they're connecting to the mountains as an individual spirit. They're able to talk to the winds. They're able to be in conversation and communion. And for me, that's just married up so nicely with my early psychic work
Training.
Is that it's like, yeah, I can channel and I know how to connect to these nature spirits, and that they are in incarnation, just as we're in incarnation in a physical body. They're in incarnation as a part of this changing of the landscape of the earth. Yeah, the collective. They're here to support humanity in coming back to themselves in truth and authenticity and power and love, but as a part of the environment here. And that environment is the care that we have for Pachamama, but it's the care that we have for unity and for the life force that exists within you, that's in its unique expression, separate to my unique expression, but we're of that same ecosystem, that same energetic structure in physical form here on earth.
Yeah.
And the belief is that instead of handing your power to an energetic being outside of you, it's recognizing that we have the support, say from ascended masters or our ancestors or archangels or any of these energetic beings, but they can't create the shifts in physical form. That's correct. So our physicality, and they consider ourselves a bridge. Yeah. So we have the gift of being highly energetic, of being spiritual, but the gift of physical form, so we can do things that they can't. And that was the key for me in the embodiment and the presence here on earth, is to recognize I'm not here to do spiritual work. There's no ascending out, there's no enlightenment out of this experience. It's the anchoring, it's the ability to connect to those aspects and have it become anchored through our holy vessel and into the earth, and working with the earth template and the earth grid. And the whole time, our ability to grasp further and wider out of this cosmos is not to leave, but it's to bring back the fragments of, the origins of earth in this time where we were in those ancient ways highly sensitive, that we were able to access ourselves energetically and move through portals, because in the dark ages, that information was dispersed across the cosmos. And so our remembering of lifetimes outside of earth is connected to why we're here on earth, to assist in this change and the shift that's happening right in front of everyone's eyes right now. That's it. Yeah, because they were anticipating it. The ancient ones were talking so freely about this time of great change, and they predicted that it would be 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar. Yes. And
which is really where there is a huge, like when I speak to a lot of people, that time frame, I mean, that was when my awakening happened.
Mine too. That's when I was
2011, 2012. Yeah. And so it's almost like that was a huge catalyst for you looking at your reality from a different perspective.
That's right.
And then again, 2019, again, with the different perspective. And then we've had like these less time between now. Do you know?
It.
It's like pretty much every year since 2020, there's been another one and another one and another one. Yeah. And it's getting to the quickening. It's there's this urgency now, and there's more of the collective energy that is actually feeling. They don't know what it is. They don't know why, but it is the change. And it's, for me, I really believe that it's got a lot to do with the ability to access information. And that because of the saturation of information, there's been an overwhelm that's happened within each people's bodies, to get to the point where instead of jumping on a side of who's right and who's wrong and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and like we don't have to have an argument anymore about whether Reiki is the path or shamanism is the path, because we both understand that, we are all starting to understand that you have to find your own way.
That's it.
To connect to all the things that you've just said.
Yeah.
That shamanism was able to make sense in your mind.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
You needed to find that path that's given you that. So I really think that this shift is happening for people now, and it doesn't matter what your path is. We don't have to argue about that stuff anymore. All that matters is that once you've hit that saturation of information, that you have to integrate in the physical form now.
Yes.
You actually need to go and lie on a couch and go, oh, this is a lot.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why I think a lot of people are tired, getting sick, having things go on with their bodies, because if they're not listening, their body will make them listen.
Yeah. Exactly.
But they're in that integration phase of actually having to witness all the things.
Yes.
And go, what do I think's true?
Well, that's it.
What do I feel is right for me? And instead of going, what do you think I should do?
Yeah, that's it.
Do you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Or go and have a reading from someone. Tell me what I should do with my life.
Yes.
Exactly. The amount of people that come and see us that want us to fix them.
That's it. That's right.
And actually, we've gotten to a point where it's not about that anymore. It's about this integration that has to happen for each human in their bodies, because what if we could fly? Yeah. What if we can teleport in these portal zones, right? I felt like it's possible when I was sitting up in a beer in Kakadu, which is definitely a portal sitting there, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, what can we do if we don't believe the crap we've been told about the past?
Yes.
What happens if we can open our minds enough to allow other possibilities in?
Right. That's
What if we stop thinking we know everything?
Yes.
And we're willing to just watch and listen.
And our ability to assess and have discernment, because
Please.
With this information age and more reliance on AI, the smoke screens of what is going to present like truth that is not truth.
No.
The distortion is going to continue arising. And so our ability to go, it looks true, but can I feel the truth in that? Is that real for me?
Aligned for me.
And
can I know that it's true, or am I just believing some words that are coming out of someone else?
Yeah.
How can I track this back and figure out whether it is actually true? Do I even want to be bothered? All of those things.
Yeah.
But if this is the collective shifting now, and if one of these theories that I have is that we're all in this overwhelmed space, and if we were to use your story as an example, you've done 8 years practicing, learning how to connect to your intuition, you've been able to, communicate with spirit, have lots of information come in, and you get to the point where you're like always out there in the spirit of things, talking, dealing with aliens and dealing with ghosts and doing, asking out there to change. And then you realised, hang on, I've got to come back to me and my connection to earth and my connection, what's happening in my reality, what do I have to do to help myself feel better?
Yes.
And honour my own path is different than my spiritual teacher that I spent 8 years with. And,
Yeah, that's it.
So what if that's happening for the collective now, except instead of talking to Archangel Michael, they're talking to Chatty GP?
Well, I honestly think that Spirit's way of finding, like marketing is like one of the biggest examples that Spirit will give me, because I'll be like, I'm up against the algorithm, and they'll say, do you think the Facebook algorithm is more powerful than us? And I'm like, no. And so it's like the algorithm will present the information to people that need to hear it. So Spirit's way of getting our attention arises through pulling an oracle card, just as much as it can through in ChatGPT.
100%. But what I was saying, and you let me know what you think on this, is that when we're using an oracle deck, when we're using ChatGPT, when we're using asking you, as a psychic, or asking someone else as some other spiritual practitioner, it's all outsourcing.
Yes.
Or I ask Archangel Michael, or if I ask, Archangel Raphael or Metatron or whatever.
Yes.
I'm asking out there.
Yes. Yes.
And what if, because of the saturation now, which I'm betting happened to you because it did happen to me, it's like too much information, guys, I've got too much coming from here, and you're telling me this and this and this and this, and I've got this ick going on in my body. I don't want to do what you're saying. This is my body. I chose to be in the body. I chose to incarnate on this planet right now, and you're asking me to go and do something. Hang on, that's breaking an ethical boundary there. Hang on a second. What's Nat want to do?
Yeah.
What if that's what's going on now for the whole collective to work out?
Yes.
Your point on discernment.
Yes. Yeah.
And they don't have to even go and learn a spiritual practice.
No.
Because life is a spiritual practice.
It. That's exactly right. That's it.
What do you want to say on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's then learning, because we live in a world where there is information overload, but there's sensory overload as well. And so I think the sensory overload can also create confusion in our bodies. And so our body's ability, that clairsentience, our body's ability to feel and perceive non-physical information, it's very hard to get the clarity on that when our nervous system is fried, when we are in a fear response. And so the healing that we're being asked to do for our physical bodies is so that our body becomes that barometer of our ability to discern and to come back to a state of empowerment within ourselves, so that we can learn to receive the clarity from our highest self and nothing outside of that, and that our highest self will speak to us, whether we're claircognizant, clairvoyant, clairsentient. But it's learning how to, I guess it's like the horse with the blinkers. It's having to shut out some of that other noise. And so as the world continues to get busier and our sensory systems become overloaded, that ability to find ways to really like drop the tension within the body, it has to come from nature. And so the more that, this is why, again, for me, the shamanic practices and the love of nature are important, because the moment that we're barefoot on the earth, the moment, we work so closely in the shamanic practices with the elements, and the elements as transformative gifts from the earth for our energy and for our body. And so the cleansing of waters through being in the ocean. And so the more that the agenda is to remove us from our natural environment, our ability to take our power back from that agenda is finding the stillness that only, in my belief, that, really cleansing ourselves out of that busy environment, that nature can do that for us. Like nature as medicine, nature as the body's healing, connected to the body's innate healing system, to be able to discern and to listen and come back to our center. And then, we expose ourselves. We're not here to be monks, that don't have this environment. We're here, and we chose to incarnate because of what's happening on the earth now. And it is this modern life, this information overload. It's the chaos of the world that is really thick at the moment. And I feel like of our generation and those that are walking this spiritual path at this point in time, we've put our hand up for like a triple whammy, because our responsibility is we're cycle breakers. So we're having to break the ancestral patterns.
And if you're listening to this, you're a cycle breaker.
That's it. You're looking at the way that you've inherited your biology from your parents, your grandparents, your upbringing, and you're having to say, okay, I'm going to do what my ancestors couldn't do, and I'm going to stop this. And I'm responsible for the future generation, whether or not I'm an actual parent or not, but I've also put up my hand to raise the future generation and have an impact and leave a legacy for the future generation, and I have to do my own personal healing as well. So this triple whammy where whatever we're moving through in our vessel, in our body, what's live for us, what life is presenting to us, it can have an origin of ancestral and biology. It can have an origin of the present life trauma.
Yes.
It can have an origin of past life trauma, and it can be a part of our soul blueprint of what we're here to affect change for the future generations. So we've incarnated at a time that's extremely challenging, and we've put our hands up and said, yep, I'll do this. I'll come and do this. And I think sometimes what we forget is that when we come into that incarnation,
we do forget.
Well, we do forget that.
And the amount of people that you have to take them to that point where they did forget, and then they're like, oh my God, how I kept telling myself, remember, and then now I've forgotten.
Yes. But we came into contract with the earth, and the earth said, I will provide all of the resourcing for you to meet your soul blueprint. So anything that we're here to learn, any gifts that we're here to experience, any contracts and karma that we're here to work through and resolve, the earth resources all of that. And so again, that the groundedness and the connection to the earth grid is going to quicken the ability that we have to find those synchronicities, the people, the places, the resources to move through our soul blueprint. And so if we're not grounded and if we're not present, then we're going to be working extra hard to have the support and the resourcing from the earth. So again, it's like just as much above, we need to be connected to below.
So tell me, in your shamanic stuff, what is the philosophy around the how to make sure that you are here in the present moment so that you are able to see how the earth resources for you?
Yes. So I love this because so we call her Pachamama.
Yes.
But it's not a translation for Mother Earth. Pachamama is the Chicana cross, which I'm wearing here, but it's, imagine a cross like this. And it's the intersection of the vertical line, which is time, and the horizontal line, which is space, masculine and feminine. And the center point is Pachamama. She is the mother of time and space. So not only is it connecting to the element of earth beneath our feet, but it's a connection to our environment at all times. So one of the ways that we do that is that we honor the four directions. So when I teach my students, I say, know where you are in time and space. So which direction is your bed facing? When you set up your altar, get out your compass and know your directions, know the elements, and know how the environment, whether you are out in nature or whether you're caught in a traffic jam, there's no difference. It's actually this
like geolocation.
Yeah. And so it's this presence with what's happening in front of you at any given moment.
Yeah, cool. So you use the directions as a method to find yourself in the now.
Yeah, anchor yourself in the now.
Yeah, cool.
And then, so we say the four directions is in north, south, east, and west, but we open to the six directions because there's above and below as well. Yeah. And then being at the center point, and in particular the heart, the heart being the center point of it all. So, we can swing like a pendulum when we need to be more connected to up here or more present down here, but it's about bringing those times into balance. We can't be perfectly still when we're constantly, we're driving north up the Bruce Highway. We're facing north. But I do love that one of their philosophies is that they are always setting their intention to face the east because that's the rising sun. And so it's about setting your sights, not necessarily taking action and propelling yourself into the future, but it's always remembering to look to the future, looking to what's to come. You honor what's behind. You always honor the west, but it's the facing of the rising sun, the new beginnings, and to do that in honor of our path, our spiritual path. That's we can get kind of caught in the chaos of it all, but the alignment is the connection to the heart and facing forward.
Beautiful. So for you personally, how did that practice help you be embodied?
Well, for me, I had this extra challenge as well. So for a few years, I studied feminine embodiment, and that was just the ability to actually be in the body, because I was carrying a lot of trauma in the body. And that trauma for me was directly related to the appearance of my body, and it was a disconnection from the feeling of my body, but it was like a constant connection to how my body looked from the outside in.
Right.
And so for me, that I had to have that extra step of just creating safety in my body because of early childhood trauma and other things that have taken place, that have formed this very dysfunctional relationship with the body. But once I was over that hurdle, it was interesting because prior to that, my clairsentience wasn't super strong. So I remember learning Reiki with you and everyone saying, "Oh, I can feel the heat in my hands." And I was like, I'm claircognizant. I knew it was happening, but I
Couldn't actually feel it.
couldn't feel it. And so there was a disconnect from me having a presence in my body because it didn't feel safe. So I had to move through my own personal healing outside of the shamanic work, in my shadow work, in trauma, inner child work, to actually create a sense of safety in being in my body.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was like, okay, I'm at peace when I'm in my body. My body is my vessel. My body is my home. And now just having this natural connection to how does my body feel in time and space? How do I feel when I'm up on top of a mountain with the wind hitting my face? How do I feel when I'm in the ocean? And feeling base.
Yeah.
But with that commitment to that practice, the more that I was able to use those experiences in reverence to nature to receive the healing that I needed at the time, and to be able to see that animistic connection to communicating with the wind, and the wind saying to me, "This is what we're working through for you." And for me, that deepened the practice for sure.
Yeah, amazing. Because that's one of the things that I see a lot of, is that people go and learn things, but they don't actually practice it on a daily basis.
Yes.
That a teacher can say to them, "Hey, this is a good idea. Go home and try this," and then they got their certificate and go, "Right, now I know this because I got a certificate that tells me that I've completed the information uptake."
Yes.
But they haven't embodied it at all.
No.
So, and often people don't really realize what that teacher was trying to do by sharing that information until years later.
Yes.
After they've gone on their embodiment journey.
Yes.
And realize that, oh, that's what they were talking about.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm sure that happens in shamanic stuff when you're teaching. So, when you're sharing each of the different rites and sharing that with students, what are some of the what is the message that you would like to let your students know? Because I know you've gone on a big spiritual journey. It's taken a lot of years of working with different teachers to get you to have an embodiment or an understanding of what it is that you're doing now and teaching.
Yes.
It's not like you went and learned the Munich rights and then all of a sudden, boom, there was a whole other set of stuff that happened before you even got there to get you in the door there to hear what they were saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which it's interesting because for some people that are on the beginning of their path, they look at what you're doing and they're like, "I'm going to do what Kate does." And they literally woke up yesterday.
Yes.
And, "Oh, but I've done the course.
Yes.
So I should be able to be a shaman now."
Yeah.
Right? And I should be able to go and teach this to somebody else.
Yes.
Which is fine because, without a student, we don't continue to learn.
That's right.
However, what is your message to the people that are learning these shamanic practices?
Yeah.
What is the most important thing that you think they need to know that you see that they're not doing?
So I think there's two things that I want to say in response to that.
Lovely.
So because I've been on this spiritual path for 14 years, and so those 8 years when I was learning right at the start, I had the luxury of time. And, you know, like lessons that I had to learn, it was like a year with a lesson. And then when I went into practice, even before the shamanic work, went into practice and I was mentoring students just in spiritual mentoring.
Yeah.
I had my students come back after 2 weeks and understand and process and embody a lesson that took me a year.
Right.
So
I sit there and I'm like, how is this even possible?
yes,
This took me like 3 years to work out.
exactly.
This is good. I'm liking that you are seeing this as well.
So
Keep going.
there's a quickening.
There is a quickening.
Because when we pave the way as for the collective, it makes it easier for the people behind us to walk the path.
Yeah.
So there's a quickening.
There is.
So there is a collective opening. The astral realms, the solar flares, everything that's pummeling the earth is forcing our bodies to change. And so there are students that are remembering things a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But I think that when I share the monarchy rites, they are a modernized version of these ancient initiations. And the reason that they've been modernized is that they are designed for what's to happen in life in this current time.
Yeah.
And their role is to facilitate transformation, personal transformation, not to share. Well, there's for me, it's important to share and honor the lineage and the culture, but their intention isn't to teach the culture. Anyone can receive the rites as a part of their personal evolution and growth.
Beautiful.
And then if you want to learn more about shamanic practices, which is what for me has felt right and I've continued to do when I go to Peru. But the invitation when working with any of this energy is to find your devotional practice. And so the devotional practice is,
this is important,
the commitment that you make to spirit, and it's personal to you. It's the
Yes.
part of me that says, separate my will out and allow me to follow divine will. How will you have me be of service today? Is it shamanic work? Is it holding someone in grief? Is it working with plant medicine? Is it working with, teaching psychic abilities? Is it working with people trying to navigate raising children in a challenging environment? And so the breadth of my spiritual work and what I do in one-on-one sessions is very tailored to what the client needs, because I'm lucky in this long path that I have a broad toolbox.
Exactly.
But they all are leading to the same thing. They're asking for me to be in devotion to something bigger than me. And that is what will bring me to my knees when I have shadow work. It's beyond the shamanic work. It's beyond energy healing. It's beyond, I did 3 levels of archangel channeling training. And so the archangels have been present. But for me, it's all been leading to the same thing. And they call it, in the shamanic work, being a chakaruna, which is being a bridge between the physical and the seen and the unseen.
Yeah.
The physicality and spirit. And so those two things, regardless of the language choice, regardless of the modality, that is us being the eternal timeless spirit having a temporary human experience.
Yeah.
And so when you take away everything out of any teachings and all of the extra components, that's at the core. And so anyone walking the spiritual path, whether they're wanting to be a practitioner and teach, or whether they're just wanting to be the best mum in the world, or that they want to take these spiritual teachings into their corporate business where they have 100 staff, it's the devotion to something bigger. It's about being a part of that collective consciousness, because we have the pleasure, the luxury, and the honor of being in incarnation here in Australia, where we are not persecuted for our spiritual practice. But there are so many places within the earth where we're doing what others can't. And so when we're doing it, we're creating a ripple effect for the entire collective consciousness, for Pachamama, for life.
Yeah.
We're a custodian for the healing of life and the homecoming of life and the love that life is here to share with us.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what the pathway is, as long as your pathway is devotional to spirit, and in turn, spirit is devotional to you. Yeah. So it's the same.
So what's yours? What's your what does it look like? When Kate does her devotional practice, which I'm assuming is a daily thing.
If you enjoy this podcast, remember to like and subscribe and share it with someone that you think would benefit from this. Follow us on Spotify and all the podcasting apps that you may listen to your favourite podcasts through. The more we share these podcasts, the further the messages of the stories of awakening are spread. It's happening all over the world now. People are awakening, and it's an exciting time to be alive. We'll see you again next week for part 2 of this episode. The content found within these podcasts are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. Nothing on this website is intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any physical or medical conditions. If you have any physical or medical conditions, you should seek the advice of your medical professional immediately. These podcasts have a meditative effect, so please never drive a vehicle while listening to Guided Meditation Podcast.